So I've been using almost exclusively Google AI Ultra for the past 2 months, and today we're answering the question, is the $250 subscription worth it, or are there better options? First, what is included in the Google AI Ultra subscription? It's the Gemini app, Flow and Whisk. Whisk, you can generate AI videos based on an image, and Flow is Google's AI filmmaking tool. We have very important Google Antigravity. This is the IDE, and we have NotebookLM, which is used for researching topics. First, I'm going to start with coding and with Antigravity. If we click on Open Agent Manager, we get the Agent Manager view. I really like this view. You can basically chat with your agents and they develop code. In this type of view, you don't really look at the code. Your main focus are the agents that you're managing. And this is how I develop in Antigravity almost exclusively. I don't look at the code. I just open Agent Manager. So Antigravity was a shift for me from coding to managing agents. The cool thing about Antigravity is that it offers also Opus 4.6 from Anthropic, and then you have Gemini 3.1 Pro. So you have both the state-of-the-art models of Anthropic and state-of-the-art models of Google, which I really like because if one of the models is not able to solve a task, then I can run the other model or let them review each other. I didn't find one model to be particularly smarter than the other one, so I use them both pretty much equally. I trust Opus a bit more though, but that may be community bias here. What I think Antigravity needs to still solve, and this is not only about Antigravity, but every single editor out there, is the parallel execution of tasks. So if you take a single project, let's say Speak Bar project, and if I want to start multiple agents in this project, they'll start conflicting with each other because they are modifying the same code. And the solution to that is work trees. So you can start a separate agent in a separate folder for the same project, and then you merge them cleanly. And Antigravity doesn't really provide a good way to do that. I think that's one of the beautiful things with coding agents, that you should be able to start multiple of them, and they should be able to then merge cleanly. Antigravity does not provide this on a project level. However, I can span multiple agents in different projects because they don't conflict each other. So the multitasking in Antigravity is not solved well. I don't think anyone has solved it well. But anyways, all this rant was because I wanted to make a point that you have all these credits that you can spend, but practically it's very difficult to spend them in Antigravity just because the user experience for multitasking is not good enough. Another thing why you can't spend your AI credits with Antigravity is because it basically crashes all the time. If my agent is running for more than 5 minutes, I'll come back to it and I'll see just it has crashed, and then I need to click continue. I think this is something that they really need to fix. Otherwise, all this money that I'm paying for credits, that doesn't make any sense. I can't trust my agent. That's about Antigravity. Just shifted my perspective how to code, but at the same time, there is a lot of rough edges. Then we have the Gemini CLI. Gemini CLI is pretty solid, but there are two things that I want to see improved there. First is I can't give it file access to my whole computer. This is something that I can do with Codex, and it helps a lot. The file access is just scoped to the current directory. And I have hardened my computer in a way that I can give any agent full system access. And even if it deletes everything, I'll be fine. So this is how I set up my computer exactly, because I want to give the agent full permissions pretty much for everything. But Gemini restricts me. It's like, I know better than you. I want to protect you. I'll restrict your access. But you also restrict my possibilities like this. And the other thing that I don't like is the model selection. Like, I'm paying so much money, and the default model is Gemini 3 and not the latest Gemini 3.1. I don't understand it. And sometimes it downgrades me for no reason. And this actually happens a lot on the app. So to summarize, Antigravity, it's a good idea. It's a bit unstable. You can't run multiple agents in parallel with a good developer experience. Gemini CLI, it's a bit too restrictive, and sometimes downgrades you to the model selection that they think is best, but I just want to use the most premium model. So all in all, comes to say that you pay for so many credits, but the ecosystem actually restricts you to spend them. Gemini model itself is good, but the tools around it are not so great, which leads me to the Gemini app. Like, I'll start the Gemini app, and very often here wouldn't be a pro, but fast. Like, why are you downgrading your Ultra users to fast when they pay so much? So you can't do that much usage on the Gemini app. There is no reason to downgrade you to fast, especially if you're their most premium customer. The Gemini app doesn't have projects, as many people know. And this is one of my biggest struggles. So in ChatGPT, you have the projects where you can create a project. I have a project content, and there I could put all my YouTube scripts. And then every agent in content has the necessary context that I have provided for this particular project. In Gemini App, I cannot create a project content and put all my YouTube scripts. So I think this is something really important that I haven't implemented yet. And by the way, the Gemini model in the Gemini app has a different behavior than ChatGPT. They are both very distinct. I cannot tell the one is better than the other. But dictation, like in Gemini app, how is it so bad? Like, it's been so bad for so long. And they have been improving it, by the way, but it's still bad. For example, in ChatGPT, I can speak in German, I can speak in Bulgarian, I can speak in English. It would definitely understand me. In Gemini app, if I speak in any language that is not the same as the Gemini app language that I said, it just wouldn't understand it. So for anyone like me who wants to talk to Gemini in multiple languages, it's basically impossible. The third thing is the background usage and how often it crashes. So I often have the use case where I ask Gemini and ChatGPT the same question. So I'll open the Gemini on my phone, would ask it the question, would close it, then I open the ChatGPT, ask it the question and close it, then I come back to Gemini, and just because I have closed the app, the thread has crashed and I need to ask the question once again. Like, this experience is so bad, it just crashes. I feel like people at Google don't use their products, or there's like some crazy organizational overhead to fix those issues, but they are very fundamental issues. One thing I love about Gemini is that it knows everything about YouTube. If you upload your video before you upload it on YouTube, it could actually watch the video, something that GPT cannot, and could give you feedback. So if I talk about the video with Gemini, Gemini would know which video I'm talking about, although I didn't mention the title of the video. It's absolutely crazy. Gemini and YouTube are very tightly integrated, and if you're a YouTuber, I think you should have at least the Pro subscription for Google. Now, NotebookLM is probably the star of the show here, especially if you're a student or a researcher. Google Research or Deep Think is pretty much unmatched. Again, you could point to YouTube videos to do research, create flashcards, slide decks, data table, video, audio overview. So if you're a student or researcher, I think it makes a lot of sense to use Google's subscription. And the other thing, of course, I want to talk about is Nanobanana. Google definitely has the best image model out there. So it's really cool to have access to it. But there is also this one guy, Full AI, where they have image generation model. It's called Flux 2. And it gives me the same quality of results like Nanobanana, and the pricing is extremely cheap. So basically you can generate 15 images for like 10 cents. And I believe Nanobanana pricing is way, way more expensive. Of course, you get it as part of the package. Now, when should you be using Google AI? As I said, probably if you're looking the best value for money, it's probably at Google. And it gives you access to Google models and to Anthropic models. But the Ultra itself, I don't think it's worth it, because there is no way to spend those credits just because the ecosystem blocks you so much. If you're a developer and don't code that much, but code quite a lot still, I think the max subscription from Cloud for $100 is probably the best deal you can get. But if you code quite a lot and if you want to set up OpenClaw, and what I'm doing right now is actually switching to OpenAI's plan. The Pro plan of OpenAI is if you code a lot, if you want the frontier model, I think it's the same quality as Opus and Gemini, if not even better. You can set it up with OpenClaw. The ChatGPT app is absolutely amazing and very stable. I'd say if you're a developer, by default, you should go with Cloud Opus, the $100 package. And if you reach the limits too often, go with GPT Pro. If you want to set up your OpenClaw, go with GPT Pro as well. If you're a student, researcher, or looking best value for money, you can go with Google AI Pro or Ultra. And one thing that I forgot to mention is that Google doesn't have a way for you to code through your mobile phone. And this is something that both OpenAI and Anthropic provide. So I think Google really has to do some catching up in the ecosystem and apps they provide around their models that are so smart. They need Gemini CLI that don't restrict us as much. So if you want to go for Google AI Ultra, think carefully if it's worth it. Maybe try it for a month, but I personally found it that it's not worth it at this point. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time.